talk about those in like a second. What it was that they discovered was on the camera, the Nikon or Canon.
Canon.
You keep telling me and I just keep forgetting. On the night of April 8th, there were 90 photos taken between the hours of 1 a.m. and 4 a.m., 87 of which are just pure black, which suggests that they were trying to signal back with the flash to the search crews.
You know, we really don't
for
see
whatever
that.
reason, they weren't mobile or they weren't able to find
Why don't we take
the
some
search
time off
crew,
work
but they
and
saw the
spend some quality
signals
time with
and were trying to signal back with the flash,
one of my
and that
other
didn't
properties.
work.
Apparently
about
not.
the
They should have like
Pentagon?
climbed up a tree or found some high ground. Maybe that would
Yeah,
have done
that might have done it.
it. Probably part of the problem is that if they've got flares, like probably parachute flares up in the air, and so all that light and hoo-ha and their little dicky flash was
Speaking
just
of
going lost in the noise.
I was
No
going to
doubt.
surprise you.
Yep.
but,
I'm going to go through the timeline a little more.
So,
Joe was bringing up the phone calls and the pictures and stuff like that. So let's just walk through it. There's an infographic that I got most of this information off of. I've compensated.
Awesome.
It's awesome. There's a couple really great infographics. We'll post links to all of those on the website. But I pull a lot of information off of that, but also from other sources. So just bear with me. We're going to do that thing where I sit and talk at you for a while. Chris had an iPhone. Lisanne had a Galaxy 3 S3. I'm pretty sure that that's who had which one, but I could have gotten them flip-flopped. And some of the information, like I said, is hidden like really deep in forums. So I've forgotten where everything came from.
Well, I think what matters is that we know one was an iPhone, an iPhone 4,
Yeah.
and one was a Galaxy S3.
Yes.
And that's the
And
important piece.
the other little tidbit is that like 90% of the information about this story is in either Dutch or Spanish, neither of which I speak or read.
Google can translate that.
Yeah,
for
so
you.
there has
It'll be
been a lot of-
unintelligible, but you can get Google to translate it.
It
for
turns out that Spanish is okay to like get in Google Translate, but Dutch it has a super hard time with. So sometimes you're just kind of left out in the lurch.
Yeah, I've read some of the articles that were from the Netherlands, and people just dumped them into Google Translate and then dumped them into the forums. And you're reading through, and you're correcting it as you read it,
You're trying to though.
but you don't know if you're correcting it correctly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I read
Yeah.
one thing. There were some ribs found eventually, and I read somebody had translated it, and the spare ribs were found, and it was
I saw that same
where,
thing.
yeah. So just bear with me, please. On April 1st, at about 11 a.m., they took off. They started the trail. They arrived at the Continental Divide at about 1 p.m. by the sun and the XF data on the camera. People, looked at the pictures and said, yeah, it's about where the sun would be, and also this is what the data suggests. There had been some speculation about the timetables being wrong because people thought that the cameras might have still been on, the XF data recorded on the pictures might have still been on Dutch time, but I don't think that that's true for a number of reasons. Or if it is, it's been changed over. It seems they continued down the other side of the mountain on the Continental
So they
Divide.
continued to follow
They
the path.
continued to follow the path. And this is a fun fact about the Continental Divide. I don't know if a lot of people follow this or not, but the river would have been running the opposite way, right?
It would have been a different river.
It would have been a different river, and it would have been flowing a different way. So if they had tried to follow a river, thinking, oh, this will take us back to the city, it turns out, no, it won't.
Yeah, when they went to the top of the Continental Divide, and I've looked at the trail, and the trail does follow a river. Side of the divide and went downhill and found a river and said, oh, hey, there's the river, let's follow it. They would have been heading downstream, but on the opposite side of the peak.
And following a completely different river.
Right.
Yes.
Right. At about 2, speaking of a river, 2 p.m., the last photo of Chris was taken crossing a stream. She looks super happy and calm and relaxed. They're dressed for the weather, the hot weather, tank tops and shorts or, stuff like that. Then at 4:39 p.m., the iPhone tried to dial 112, which is the Dutch equivalent of 911, and I'm pretty sure that Panama uses 911 too. 912 as 911 as well. Sorry. numbers and stuff. I'm pretty sure. Anyways, then at 4:51, the Samsung attempts to make the same call. Neither are connected to the network, so neither go through. On April 2nd, at 6:56 a.m., just right after sunrise, the Samsung attempts the 112 call again, which does not go through, obviously. Then at 8:14 a.m., the iPhone tries the 112 call, which was not connected. And a screenshot was taken of that phone right after the call for reasons unknown.
The screen capture function on cell phones is always kind of an awkward thing.
I accidentally take screen caps of my phone.
Yeah,
I know, but you gotta hold
entirely
this
possible.
button and twist your nose in this right way, or just not know what you're doing and
Yeah.
grab it and grip it, and it randomly takes them. So I
Yeah.
can just see that randomly happen.
It's possible, yeah.
Yeah, so it's, between the 6:56 call and the 8:14 a.m. call, I presume they must have maneuvered to a higher position.
I don't know.
Hoping that they could
I don't know.
make contact.
No,
And
there's
of
no
course,
no data in that. I mean, right?
and
You have
it-
no idea.
Yeah, and they don't, and they didn't realize that there's no 112 in Panama.
Sure.
Apparently.
Yeah. At 10:53 a.m., a magnitude 6.0 earthquake rocks Panama City. But they felt it in Boquete, or however you say
Okay,
Boquete, or whatever.
I don't know.
you're both wrong.
Probably. And at this, actually, almost this exact moment when they were feeling this earthquake, the Samsung attempts the 112 and 911 call. Both. I think somebody thought, one of the two must have been like, oh yeah, maybe it's 911 here, maybe it's not.
Smart move.
Well, but they've been trying both numbers.
This is the first time they dial 911.
Oh, okay. I was thinking that they had been trying 911 and 112.
Nope, just 112 up
Okay.
until this point. The call is not connected again. At 1:56 p.m., the Samsung again attempts a 112/911 call, both. And the 911 call is briefly connected, like for a second, and then drops out.
That's frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously they must have been moving around trying to find coverage.
I think
They move around. Hey,
maybe.
we got a bar.
There's a lot of theories around that, right? I mean, something obviously must have happened to one of them that made it so that they could not make it back out,
Yeah, probably somebody broke a leg, something like
or
that.
got bit by a spider, or we'll talk about that, in theories. But that's one of the things is you can only move around so much. If one of you's not mobile, you're not going to want to just leave your friend and wander because you don't know your way back to that person. You don't want to both be lost separately from each other.
Yeah.
Point.
This is why you don't go into haunted houses and then split up.
Yeah, you don't do that.
Same theory.
If we've learned anything from horror movies,
And
you
Scooby-Doo.
don't do that. Yeah.
And always carry a gun.
That moment where it's connected, where the 911 call was connected, is the only time any of these calls was connected. Just
sad.
as a fact. And then at 9 p.m. that evening, the girls are officially reported missing. On April 3rd, at 8 a.m., the search and rescue teams start to patrol the area with a helicopter. So that's when they finally deployed the next day. At 9:32, the iPhone attempts to make a 911 only call. At this point, I think they had figured out that it's 911.
They
not
gave up on 112 because they connected on 911.
This is the last call that was made for a really long time. Then and the phones are starting to get switched off. They're turning them off, I think,
Smart move.
to preserve battery.
Yeah.
And actually, when you hear how long these phones lasted, it's smart move.
Yeah, because you don't want Pandora trying to run in the background and running your battery down.
Right, totally. Or your phone to be searching constantly
Yeah.
for a signal. It'll drain your
Wi-Fi
battery.
It'll run it
now
down quick.
here.
Yeah. At 1:50 p.m., the iPhone was switched on, and I didn't realize that they can pull data from your iPhone of when it's turned on and when it's turned off, that it logs every time it's turned on, but apparently they can.
I am not surprised by that at all.
Yeah. And then at 4 p.m., the Samsung was turned on, and 4:16, the iPhone was turned on. That's it for that night. At 4:50 a.m. on April 4th, the Samsung is turned on and then dies. The battery dies at 5 a.m. The iPhone is switched on at 10:16 and 1:42, and that stays super consistent for the next few days. I don't know if one of the girls was wearing a watch or what, but like super consistent. So then on the 5th, the iPhone was switched on at 10:50 a.m. and 1:37 p.m. At 1:37, there was no PIN entered to unlock the phone, which people think is significant for some reason. I think it's probably not really.
I have my ideas, but I'll hold it for the theory section.
Well, now you have an iPhone, right?
Yeah.
And so when you turn yours on, even without putting the pin in, can you look and see how many bars you have? Yeah. So no sense putting the pin in if you can see you've got no signal.
I agree with that. Yeah. And then on April 6th, the iPhone is switched on at 10:26 a.m. and 1:37 again p.m. Again, no PIN entered at either time. And that was it. Nothing on the 7th. There's no data from the 7th. And then on April 8th, in the early morning, from 1 to 4 a.m. on April 8th, what many people would consider the night of the 7th, right? But it's early morning on the 8th. That's when those 90 pictures were taken with the camera. As mentioned, 87 of them are just black. A lot of people, I haven't seen them, they haven't been released, so a lot of people think maybe the lens cap was on. I don't think cameras take pictures with lens caps on.
This was a point and shoot. It didn't have a lens cap.
Oh, okay.
It has a built-in shutter, but it's one of those ones, as soon as you turn it on, the shutter opens. It's ready to rock.
So for me, that means that they were just taking pictures into the sky.
Possibly.
Right? Because if you're covered, you're going to find as much of an uncovered area as possible. Otherwise, you're going to see reflections of trees and stuff like that. So I don't know. Nobody's seen these pictures. No, I mean, none of us are amateurs. I've seen these pictures, so I don't know how, quote unquote, totally black they are. But there are 3 that are not. They have all been released. One was a blurry photo that appeared to be like the back or the side of Chris's head. It's just like her blurry hair. I'll show it to you guys in studio in a second. Links, of course, on the website. One photo of like a rock wall with vegetation overhanging it, and one photo that creeps a lot of people out but doesn't creep me out. That's a small branch with 2 pieces of red plastic tied on it, and there's like either a gum wrapper or like one of those single serving pill packets underneath it. And I guess some people look at that and think that the red plastic is skin, which I literally can't even like talk myself into.
If anybody's ever gone into the woods in an area where they were gonna, let's say, fell trees, or they mark trees, and it's that really thin red material, it's kind of elastic.
It's called flagging.
Yeah, it's flagging, and that looks like shreds of stuff that's that same consistency of material. It's just little pieces of plastic.
So
yeah, now this is a picture on the right, correct?
Yeah, I have a better one of that. This is the only one. There's the picture of the side of Chris's head in, but I have the other 2 ones I'll show you just now.
Yeah, let's see.
So this is the one that people talk about being the rock wall. It looks to me more like it's it may just be the orientation, but it kind of looks like a path to me, honestly.
It's hard to tell. It almost looks like ruts, like they're on a road with wheel ruts.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
And then this is that one that creeps people out. And I should say that there have been reports that red bags similar to that were found in their belongings in their rooms at their homestay. For whatever reason, they're like doggy bags or something.
I was going to say, it's almost like a cheap takeout plastic bag or something.
So I don't know if like one of the girls was like, keeping stuff in there or like what, like it's totally possible. You just take them with you, maybe to put trash in if you, I don't know.
Well, yeah, depending on where you're going. Some places you have to carry your poop out. No, seriously. I've been places like this.
Yeah.
Those 2-handled grocery bags are actually quite handy for that. But I'm wondering if they actually took those bags out, emptied them, tied them to the branch just as a signal flag.
That's the theory.
Yeah.
It's the tiniest little signal flag I ever did see, though.
Yeah, it's not going to do you a lot of good.
Not really.
No.
And then behind that, it looks like water to me. There's a lot of speculation, but it looks like reflection of water. Would you say that that's accurate?
It's actually,
possible.
it looks like it's a river, a creek, something, because there's a sharp delineation there. I mean, so I think that's probably water.
Yeah, and it's not. It doesn't look like the ground that we saw in the previous pictures and things like that. And I guess the only like kind of question on that is like, why take a picture of that?
As I look at that, I kind of had the same initial, they must be at the river or something. But now to me, if it's that dark out and you can barely make out the trees in the background, that looks like wet broadleaf foliage to me that's reflecting moonlight or flash, most likely. It's probably the flash.
Probably flash. So
that they've lit off by taking this photos. I question that they're near the river.
That's fair.
Actually, as I look at it more closely, it looks like it's maybe a little mound of earth with foliage in the background, a little bit further away. I mean, like
yeah,
like
and
20,
actually,
30 feet away.
When I look at it, the other thing I can make it into is like trees, like they're in a clearing, and you can see like the trees kind of in the distance, a little bit reflecting, and
now is that the moon in the upper right, or is that just refraction in the
nobody
lens?
knows. I don't know.
I'm going to say that's refraction because it looks like it's in a chunk of trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like
It's lens
speck
flare.
of dust or something. Yeah. Anyways, I still, like, it doesn't really matter, like, the contents of the background of that picture because, like, I still am not totally clear why you take a picture of that thing. And also a picture of the side of Chris's head or the side or back of Chris's head, or, there's a lot of people. The other theory about these photos is that they were trying to use it to, like, light their way.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
But I guess for me, I have pretty good night vision, and I know that for me, if I'm walking outside and it's dark, I don't want to use a flashlight because it actually makes it harder for me to see than just let your eyes adjust to the dark and kind of navigate that way.
Well, certainly, I mean, the flash of your camera.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is presumably after moonset.
It's not after moonset, but it's after the moon went behind the mountain.
And by this time, again, what side of the mountain were they, of the Continental Divide were they on?
They were on the north side.
Yeah.
North side?
Okay. The trail they took, it's kind of a northeasterly trail. And then once they hit the other side, we're not positive. The things that were found were nearly directly north, these miles away, but they're all on the north side of the divide.
Okay.
The other thing that people suggest with these pictures or the use of the flash is that they were trying to scare something away. That seems like a long time to try and scare something away, especially if you've been sleeping in the jungle for a while and you have been dealing with whatever you would be scaring away. Likely, they didn't know that any of the big predators that live in the jungle there aren't actually going to try and kill you.
No, they're
not
usually,
gonna.
They're kind of bashful.
Yeah,
They might, if you were like a single small child, they might try, but like two, even mildly adult-sized human beings, they're not going to try and attack.
And also, by this time, they would have had the brains, hopefully, to secure some really big clubs for themselves, just in the event that something like that happened.
Well,
Maybe.
the predators, I can't remember which big cat it is that's in Panama, but other than a big cat or some ginormous snake, I can't really think of any other major predators that would be a threat to a human.
It's not. It's the big cats, and the big cats aren't going to attack you, and a snake might, but...
Right, that's why I'm asking, because those are very unlikely.
Honestly,
those are very bashful creatures.
The things that'll kill you in this area are poison.
Snakes.
Snakes and spiders.
Although I did know a guy one time who backpacked through Central America. And he said, I'm pretty sure he said it was in Panama. He was, what's the word, accosted by vampire bats.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
And they were trying to get through his mosquito netting and get at him. And that would be unsettling.
Yeah, that would be unsettling.
And so I would imagine that maybe driving away the vampire bats with the flash.
Maybe.
I don't know.
And
I'll
certainly
let
not
you have
for
that.
like 3 hours, right? I mean, consistently for 3 hours. That seems.
Well, but if they're out in the middle of the night and they smell prey, they're gonna keep coming back.
Yeah,
they
but
keep
then
coming
you
at
like
ya.
you find a new place to be, right? I mean, you find some more cover.
They,
You don't just sit there and like flash for 3 hours. You like
But there may
come up
not
with
be
creative.
any other cover is the point.
I guess. It's,
I don't know. This is completely conjecture. and I
Yeah,
have no
totally.
idea.
It totally
Yeah.
is. Actually, but that would be another explanation for their stick with the bags tied to it. Would be to
Oh, I guess that's
something
true.
that could swat the bag.